Hey, what is up guys, Murphy back for another video, and today we're going to be playing red-green Pummler with a splash of blue. So if you're not familiar with the deck, we basically just use electrostatic Pummler and pump spells, and you just make the electrostatic Pummler huge, and then you just like hit your opponent for like 60 or 120 or something like that. So first of all I'm going to go over the creatures and then I'll go over the spells, but I guess we should start with the land base first. So we're playing 20 lands. We're playing 2 fast lands for the blue splash, which is Spire Bluff Canal and the Voltaic Sanctum. The reason we're only playing 2 is because we're playing 4 game trails, and we also have like 4 Aether hubs for the blue splash and some more fixing in the sideboard, as well as 4 7th Conduit. So getting your blue mana online is never a problem at all. I don't think I've really ever not had blue mana when I've needed it, so I've just found that land base works best for me. We're also playing 2 Sheltered Thicket. The deck doesn't necessarily have to play like other aggro decks where you have to play on curve. Like the cards you draw are way more important than playing them on curve. Like in a red deck, you can't afford to play, or like in a mono red aggressive deck, you can't really afford to play lands that enter tap because you can cycle them. Because it just doesn't matter. If you play your 1-drop on turn 2, it's significantly worse than on turn 1. Whereas in this deck, you can play your electrostatic Pummler on like turn 7, and you can still just kill them next turn. It just doesn't matter. So for the 2-drops, we're playing 4 Longtusk Cub, 4 7th Conduit, and 4 Voltaic Brawler. These are basically just the best 2-drops for the deck. Both the bottom 2 creatures, 7th Conduit and Voltaic Brawler, give you energy, which is really important. And a Longtusk Cub can give you energy. It's also just a very good energy sink if you don't have like anything else you want to use it on. And it's also just a really aggressive creature. Sometimes you can just play like a Longtusk Cub on turn 2. And if you've like attuned with the Aether and then you've like used pump spells, they just can't answer it. It becomes like a 7/7 or something, and that can just run away with the game. For 3 drops, we've got the namesake card, Electrostatic Pummler. The card is just incredible if you have any pump spells which give it +4 power. So the reason you want +4 power is because then it makes it to a 5x. It doesn't really matter what its toughness is, and then you can activate it twice, which makes it 20 power. So yeah, if you pump it to make it a 5, whatever, then you pay 3 energy, it becomes a 10. And then whatever its toughness is, and then again it'll make it 20. So that normally just kills your opponent if you've got in a little bit of damage with any of your other 2-drops. And then for 4 drops, we're playing 4 Bristling Hydra. This card is like really hard for mid-range decks to deal with, and if you're gonna like use a bunch of pump spells, it makes it very difficult to answer on a creature that can become hexproof. And then if they kill it response, often you can make it hexproof again in response. So they normally need like 2 removal spells at least to kill this thing, and it normally just, if you can get like a big trample spell and a double strike on this guy, it normally just kills your opponent. And then I've put the spell separately because we play so many non-creature spells, it kind of messes up the curve when you look at it all together. And a lot of these you're just not playing on curve, like you sandbag quite a few of these. So I just thought it'd make more sense if we do them separately. So we're playing 4 Attune with Aether, probably the best turn 1 in the deck. Giving you the fixing and getting you 2 energy is huge, especially as turn 1 you just don't do anything in this deck. And then we're playing 4 Blossoming Defense. It's just 1 mana, give a creature hexproof. The +2/+2 is nice, but we're playing it mainly for the hexproof. And then we play 1 Dissenter's Deliverance, 4 Larger Than Life, and 4 Invigorated Rampage. So as I said earlier, both of these are +4 power, which is exactly what you want on the Pummler, and both of them give trample. So that's just basically why we're playing these 2 over any other pump spells like Build to Smash or anything like that. These 2 give +4 power and trample. That's pretty much the only reason we're playing these 2 over anything else. And then the 1 Dissenter's Deliverance is basically the 59 cards in the deck I'm happy with, and then there's 1 slot, and I don't know what to put in it. I've tried a variety of different cards. I've tried Glimmer of Genius, I've tried Oath of Nissa, and I'm going to give Dissenter's Deliverance a go. It's 1 green cycle. Like, worst comes to worst, you just cycle it, but occasionally you'll hit like their turn 2 Heart of Kirin, which might put a clock on you that's too quick. So we're just playing 1. It doesn't, like, you can play whatever you want here, really. You could play Anticipate, Glimmer of Genius, just another creature, Oath of Nissa. Really, just play whatever you want for that slot. And then we're playing 3 Uncaged Fury. So the reason we're not playing 4 is just because we play so many pump spells, and this is by far the worst one in multiples. You can give a creature +4 and then give it +4 again, but giving it +1/+1 and double strike and then doing it again, you're just not doing that much. So I found that 3 is better than 4 for that card, at least, because you just don't want to draw multiples, especially as it's 3 mana. So if you're doing this, you're typically not doing any other significant like board presence in the same turn. So if you draw multiples, it just feels really bad. And then in the sideboard, We're playing one island. This is for the Attunement Aethers. If you want to bring in a bunch of blue cards, it just makes the mana so much better as well. So between one island, 4 Attunement Aether, 4 Aether Hub, and 2 fast lands, the mana is just really nice in this deck. We're playing 4 Negates. Negate is good against Aetherworks because you can just counter the Aetherworks Marvel. It's good against control decks, and you can also just counter like Planeswalkers and things as well. And also, if your opponent uses a removal spell or a board wipe like Fumigate, again, you can just use this. So it's kind of just like a good catch-all. 2 Dispel. The reason we're playing so much counter magic in the board is because if you play against a blue deck that plays like lots of negates, dispels, and things like that, this deck is, or the main deck at least, is just very bad against that style of deck. If you just look like Larger Than Life, it's just a bad card against them. Invigorated Rampage is a bad card against them. Electrostatic Pummler is just awful card against control, because without pump spells, this card is just awful. So they can just let it resolve and then just counter your pump spells, and now you have a 3 mana 1/1. It's just so bad that I found that post board you want to just go into it like a tempo style deck. So you take out all the pump spells and Electrostatic Pummler, and then you just board in all of this, and you just like try and out tempo your opponent and hope that they can't, or you just try and get underneath them. We're then playing 4 Green Belt Rampager. Again, for decks where Electrostatic Pummler is not good, or the combo's not very good, you basically just bring in Green Belt Rampager and Lithune Hellion, and you just kill your opponent quicker than they can answer your threats. So if you're against something that has a lot of Walking Blisters, for example, Walking Blister is very good against Electrostatic Pummler because you just ping it for 1, and then if I pump it, then they just ping it for 1 again. So if you just can't deal with their removal on your Electrostatic Pummler, you just board in these really aggressive fast threats, and you just beat your opponent down even quicker. And you change from a combo deck more to like an aggro deck. So that's the sideboard. I did see that there was an article on this. I think it was on Channel Fireball or Starseed Games or something like that, where someone one of his friends played this deck at the Pro Tour. He played a very different list to me. He played things like Ronas in the main deck, but the biggest problem with this deck is that you don't draw enough threats for your pump spells. So you might have an opening hand of like 2 creatures, and then if they have removal for both, you end up having like 2 Larger Than Life and an Uncaged Fury stuck in hand until you draw a creature, and then if they can kill it, then you just lose because you don't have any threats. And the deck I saw on the Pro Tour list was exactly the same threats, except it played 2 extra Ronas. And Ronas isn't a threat on its own. So the reason I don't like the list was because all they've done is they've cut down on combo to bring in other cards, but the other cards don't help with the deck's main problem, which is not drawing enough threats, which is why I've gone with my list over theirs. I just don't think that their list achieves what I'm looking for. And I think a lot of people just take this deck as like a joke deck, but I actually think this deck is really powerful. The last GP I played in, I finished 10-5 with this deck, so I got a pro point from that. I won my local GPC with it. Then the next weekend I got to the finals of a PPTQ and just conceded because I couldn't go to that the PTQ. So I've had a lot of success with this deck, and I just think it's really solid. So I'm just going to work on it and hopefully play it in Barcelona. It's a mix up between this and Jund Gods. So anyway, less talking and let's go play some rounds. Peace.